My name is Paul Scanlon. I'm co-founder and CEO of Legion M. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Legion M, but we have a booth right over there. And I couldn't be more honored to introduce the next guest. It's the producing quartet from Company X SpectreVision. I've got Elijah Wood. You want to come out here? Lisa Whalen and Josh Waller. So,
hello, y'all. Dude, it's Red himself.
Yes.
With the Beast.
How many Red cosplayers do we have out there? Raise your hands. Woo!
Well, that's cheating. We know
all right.
him.
Well, so this is this panel is all about Company X and SpectreVision, which is this dynamic, amazing quartet right here. And before we start, we're also doing a spotlight on a new film called Mandy. There's actually a screening tonight. Mandy is taking the world by storm right now, and it's a partnership that Legion M and Company X and SpectreVision work together on that film. We couldn't be more honored to be a part of it. But we want to start with the trailer, just to kind of give you guys a little taste of what we've been up to.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do. You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil. You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
Oh man, they wronged you.
You exceed the cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
All right, who wants to see that movie? All right, there's actually a screening tonight. And I don't know, there might still be tickets. Check LA Comic-Con. There's a screening tonight up in the theater here on this premise. So,
has anyone seen it already? Has anyone seen it more than once?
Dude, another Red Miller. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of you guys out there. Nice.
So, well, before, I do want to ask some specific questions about Mandy, but first I just want to hear, what's the origin story of SpectreVision? Like, how do you guys all come together?
We often like trade off who's going to take this question because we've done it so many times. But we met on another film that Daniel was writing and Josh was directing. that they wanted me to act in. It was a kind of road comedy that never got made. But in the process of developing the script and hanging out a lot, kind of working on that, we became really good friends and realized that we had a shared mutual love of the genre and on sort of elevated horror films, specifically things that kind of, were established in the 1970s and prior to that, and then, at the time that we became friends, there were these really wonderful films being made in different parts of the world, but it felt like at the time there wasn't a place in the US for those to be consistently made. We also kind of bounded around the idea of being producers, the kind of producers that we felt like we were missing from our respective jobs, the kinds that would stick with you and support you, not for monetary gain, but because they believed in you and they believed in the art itself. And we wanted to be those kinds of producers. That was sort of the basic genesis of it.
And I think the other thing was we said we wanted to make the films that no one else would make because they were too unusual or too outside of the box, like this one. So we sort of built our identity around trying to make those films. Our first two movies were A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and Cooties. And Cooties, yeah.
That's awesome.
We did The Boy and The Greasy Strangler. Yeah! And then, I guess this was the next SpectreVision film.
Yeah.
And under the Company X label, we did a film called Bitch. And a film coming out next year called 7 Stages to Achieve Eternal Bliss by Passing Through the Gateway Chosen by the Holy Storch.
7 stages.
That's next year's panel.
All really unusual, kind of weird cinema that are the kind of movies that we really love and hope that you guys love. And just want to try and help see the light of day.
Well, I think this is why Legion M and SpectreVision had so much affinity for one another, because as a fan-owned entertainment company, that's what we want to support. We want to support original breakthrough ideas. I read somewhere that you guys look specifically for projects that the other major studios might have passed on. Is that true?
That was certainly the part of our accidental mandate, I would say, in the early days, because our initial approach was to reach out to people in the creative community, people that were friends or friends of friends, that we were fans of, and we would always ask them the same question: is there a passion project that you have that has been passed on by the studios that you can't get traction on? And invariably they would say yes, and more often than not, that project was really exciting. So it's very similar to what you're saying. Yes, we were looking for projects that had sort of been passed on or had sort of stagnated and weren't getting the kind of love that they deserve.
Because you're all very talented creators and directors and producers yourselves. I mean, how does that work?
I think I can feel that one because you and I have had a lot of these conversations. A filmmaker always has a clear vision, and we definitely are motivated by people who have a clear, awesome, unique vision. And then sometimes on the road you go, I know you want 23 cars to explode, but like, we can't do that. Like, that's insane. That's 23 cars. So there are times during the process where we have to just kind of go, is there something else creatively, another solution we can come to that gets across the spirit of what you want without exploding 23 vehicles? And we always just try to help them get there. And then from that point on, just every time they say, I want this, we go, all right, we will try. And then you guys go, really? We go, yes, we have to try. We have to just keep trying. This is what they want. We'll see. And occasionally we ask them to bend, but we try not to, which is nuts.
Filmmaking is largely about being flexible and being light on your feet. And a great example is, whether you've seen Mandy or not, you saw the trailer, the Black Skulls, the biker gang, in this original script was 50 people. And Red killed 50 people. And we were just like, we can't afford this.
Everybody out there is so mad that they don't get to see Mandy.
They're like, it could have been 50 people?
It was like this swarm of bikers.
That was Daniel Noah's decision.
So, we said to Panos, we just can't afford this. What do you want to do? And so went away for a while and he came back and he had dreamt up the Black Skulls, which instead of being about volume was about mass, was about these four highly developed, very specific kind of demon bikers. The original Inception, they were not demonic, they were just 50 psychopathic biker dudes. But I think, our experience is almost invariably that when you're forced to rethink something, it's better the second iteration. And the Black Skulls are, amazing. We wouldn't have had them if we'd had more money.
Yeah, limitations are fantastic. I mean, it doesn't feel that way at the time, but it more often than not, it creates a creative solution to a logistical problem, and oftentimes the creative solution is actually weirdly better than what was there to begin with. I mean, the perfect example that everyone knows is Jaws. I mean, obviously Jaws was supposed to feature the shark a lot more, but they couldn't because it didn't work. And it made it far more suspenseful, so that's the...
All right, so let's talk about Mandy. So how did you guys come across Mandy?
At the time when they approached him and finally pinned him down, it was like, we'll do whatever you want to do next. Like, we don't care. And Mandy is what, came out of those early stalkings. And then it took us close to 5 years to eventually get it in the can, so to speak. So, and that was, I was just talking about this backstage with Bill Duke about how quickly time flies, when you're working on a project that you're passionate about. Like, people later were like, well, how long did it take you? And we said, you actually calculated in your head, like, holy shit, that's 5 years. But it didn't seem like 5 years. It just felt like we were trying to make a movie with a filmmaker we really were gung-ho about,
It was worth it. Those 5 years were worth it. So,
agreed.
So, all right, so has Mandy, like the success of Mandy and, Esquire's #1 movie of the year and the amazing Rotten Tomatoes scores, is it what you expected?
I don't think any of us ever have expectations that are lofty about our movies. We believe in them and we hope that they find an audience. And this is one that we were, obviously on fire for from the moment we read the script, and the whole process was really gratifying, and it turned out to be this movie that we were so unbelievably proud of, and just hoped that it would connect with people. But you just never know. The expectations are, it's going to come out in cinemas, it's also out on VOD simultaneously, hopefully it finds an audience. And to the degree at which it did, really surprised all of us. You can never have expectations about these things, especially when it's essentially an independent release. And the fact that people were, in some cases, driving 90 minutes to 2 hours out of their way to get to a theater when they could have watched it on iTunes or another VOD platform is staggering. And what I think was so gratifying about it, beyond the fact that there was this wonderful sort of surge of enthusiasm for Panos' film, and clearly there are people here that love it as well, it's also this extremely beautiful, it's a positive move towards the fact that cinema is still important. This is, in this conversation about whether cinema is dying and VOD is ultimately going to reign supreme, this is a great example of the fact that theater isn't dead. The theatrical experience is extremely important. And a movie like this brought people to the cinema because they felt they needed to see it there.
This is definitely a cinematic experience.
It is, yeah.
This is something to be experienced in a theater. And it was really cool to watch the audience really demand that.
We had direct communications with fans in theaters to try and help get the movie into those cinemas. To have that kind of hands-on approach in this grassroots effort was just so gratifying.
So does Mandy and the success of Mandy, does it change anything for you guys, or have you
Just hope,
adjusting?
faith that if you do something great, people will see it. There's so much being made right now, and there's so much great stuff that it's hard to find. So there's luck in everything, but just faith. But like, we can do this.
Yeah.
We have a very, very, very special video from Mandy that I want to get to, and I think the audience is going to be really pleasantly surprised with this one. But before we do, I want to talk because one of the most critical components of the film, for me at least, is the soundtrack. Can someone talk about Johan's involvement, getting him involved in that whole process?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, you can.
Johan had reached out. We had already had a pre-existing relationship with Johan from just many years back, and he scored a film that Daniel and I had done years back called Mechanic. And he reached out and asked, he had kind of found out that we were doing Richard Stanley's next project, The Color Out of Space. And what else did he talk about? Was it Nimrod's project? Or?
I think it was Color Out of Space and Mandy.
Yeah, and he just said he was a big fan of Beyond the Black Rainbow as well, and wanted to know more about it, and that's literally how it took off. And then through the, scoring process, it was, equally pretty, it was pretty incredible. He had reached out to musicians all across the world when he was in the process of putting together the score, because he was just trying to gather elements. So we would, the communication was tough because he was on the other side of the world, but when we would connect with him, he would just be downloading us with all this, almost like sound design elements, but they were all score elements.
I don't know that this has ever been played anywhere yet.
This is the first time anyone will ever see the full Cheddar Goblin.
All right, so let's hear it. Cheddar Goblin, Cheddar Goblin, Cheddar Goblin, Cheddar Goblin. All right, let's play the Cheddar Goblin clip.
Who ate all the macaroni and cheese? Look, Cheddar Goblin! Cheddar Goblin, did you eat all the macaroni and cheese?
Nothing's better than cheddar.
Cheddar Goblin! Cheddar Goblin! Cheddar Goblin! Cheddar Goblin! Yeah!
Cheddar Goblin by Devane has 60% more cheese than the next leading brand. Kids and goblins agree. Cheddar Goblin tastes the best. That's why Cheddar Goblin was rated #1 3 years in a row. Cheddar Goblin by Devane. It's goblin good.
That is just so unbelievably good.
That was made by Chris Casper Kelly, who did Too Many Cooks. Has anyone seen Too Many Cooks?
Too many cooks!
The amount of macaroni and cheese they had to use for that is disgusting.
Well, and Cheddar Goblin he's got a life of his own now. He's got his own Twitter following. Well, and one thing that I would say, and I don't know if any of you guys want to speak to it, but it's a very funny commercial. It's really a
Okay, so there was like a month where Panos and I we shot the whole film in Belgium to double for the Pacific Northwest. So at a certain point, he and I had flown out there, and we were the only people that flew out there with a bunch of Belgians, and the film was stalled, so we were just sitting there.
Belgians.
I love Belgians, just not to be clear. Yeah. It was just Panos and I sitting in a room together for basically a month. So we were toying through everything and trying to come up with all the names for things we'd have to license, like in the film, the chainsaws and all of the industrial equipment is all, manufactured by the same brand, which we came up with Termite. And then Panos was like, I want to design that logo. And then I'd look over and he was designing the logo on his laptop. One of the things was that we knew that we were going to have a brand of macaroni and cheese, because in a scene, this is not a spoiler, like Mother Marlene, who's one of the villains, is shopping at a store, and gets like a thing of mac and cheese, she gets a few groceries, and that was in the script. So we were like, we got to come up with a name for the mac and cheese. I mean, we got to, so as we were like joking around right there, like Panos was like, what about Cheddar Goblin? And I was like, dude, I think that's it. And then the two of us started going on this banter about like, well, what if it was like ghoulies, and this little ghoulie pops out of like the mac and cheese, and like he eats pasta and cheddar, and like his digestive enzymes produce the mac and cheese, and he pukes it up on people, and we were like, And pretty soon, like, and then I was like, oh, this is fun. I got to do some work now. And I went back to work. And about an hour later, I was like, wow, Panos has been quiet for a long time.
We actually made Cheddar Goblin, he and his team made Cheddar Goblin masks for Halloween that we sold. We made 50 of them because they're made by hand. They sold out in like 10 hours or something like that.
We're gonna get some, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. All right, so one last question on Mandy, and it'd be irresponsible for me to not ask you guys about your experience working with Legion M. And I know I'm biased.
Just terrible.
Terrible. Like never work with them again. But no, I'm curious. I mean, what do you guys
review we're doing in front of
Do you really want to do this in front of a crowd? Because
maybe not. Yeah.
Go join the Legion. They've been wonderful to us. If you're not already a member, a fan owned, it's been a Legion member.
Incredible. You guys have been so supportive. I mean, you get it. Obviously this movie is connected with a lot of people, but we showed you guys this movie really early on, and it was not quite finished yet, but you totally got it, and you understood what we were trying to do, and you got excited about it, and that meant the world to us at a very early stage, and you really stuck with us through the release of the score, and all the merchandising has been fantastic, and what you do in regards to getting people excited, getting the Legion excited about the content that you get behind is so valuable for filmmakers and for producers like us and for these movies to be seen by people. You guys are the best, and it's been a wonderful partnership.
So the reason a lot of other people got to see it is because the Legion got busloads of people to drive to these theaters, and the theater owners were like, I'm going to keep this out. And then when word started to get around, other people could see it. It was...
Lisa loves saying busloads.
Busloads. Well, we appreciate that. I mean, for us, it's about our community, right? And our community this is what we want to do. We want to support original breakthrough ideas like this. And so we're grateful to you guys and Panos for, bringing us the world of Mandy. I mean, it's truly remarkable. We couldn't be happier, and we're excited about the future of working with you guys.
Thanks.
And thank you to all the Legion M folks that are out there that really helped, create the grassroots movement behind Mandy. I mean, it's been spectacular.
I guess couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hello there. Digital Game Time, your show about games, movies, and pop culture is now live every week. Follow them and watch the show every Monday on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Comment, participate, and interact with Leo, Rick, and Francisco as they tell you what's happening in the world of entertainment.